It is connected with reincarnation. Do you believe in reincarnation?
Yeah, I went through phases with that, and I would say most early on in somebody and a human being's discovery of that, when they're completely identified and I'm really a separate self, an entity, their idea of reincarnation is, and when this body dies, this energy that is my soul or whatever it is, dies and comes back as a separated entity into a new form. But all of that stuff is based on a separation concept. All of that stuff is based on the idea of separation and the idea that there is a separate self there in the first place. So my viewpoints have blended and changed over time. So I would say most people, when they're not exploring, say, non-duality or the nature of the self, the separate self, would assume reincarnation to be the separate entity coming back into a separate body as a separate chunk. Now, I don't know because this body hasn't ceased, but it really strongly feels like this energetic expression that's happening here is part of the whole. All experience that's happening through the interaction of this body, John, is always here, is always available. There is no time really. So all this intelligent awareness it's experiencing through these thoughts and senses is part of the whole intelligence now. This is new. It's always changing. And these words are changing the whole. And so that is my idea of the intelligent expression, the idea of individuation is an appearance now in experience. This experience of feeling like a separate person is perpetuating in this one energy. So that whirlpooling of energy, we could label a soul, and we could label that comes back in however much isolation into a new form, into a new body. Yes, those experiences could be blended with the energy of a new human form. I believe, or I feel, I can't really believe, but it feels like these things are happening because there are appearances and people have memories from past lives. But these experiences, I believe, are the whole whirlpooling into biology form. This energy comes and is accessed through new biology, but it's not really a separate. If we go right back to the first instance where people think they are a separate self, separated from the world, and that concept of God and soul and separation, the very simplistic version is I've never looked at the fact that I'm not a separate self. I assume everything from here is I'm separate to that. That idea becomes I am the soul. That's separate, and that comes back as a separate entity. That doesn't feel correct to me. That feels like an early stage of this investigation of reincarnation. But reincarnation now feels like this body has this appearance as has this feeling of being a separate entity. And that's an appearance in the whole. And I don't think, I'm just talking, it's a story, but as a story, perhaps this complex, intelligent awareness, energy, consciousness doesn't necessarily need a biology to maintain that experience. You see, so this experience could be the universe expressing as biology to have experiences of separation, and it sort of integrates in the energy of the whole as those experiences, and those experiences can come back in whatever forms into new biology, which is new expressions of this energy. And so reincarnation can happen, but in a very different way than the separate chunk. And these experiences of being a separate person with identification and all this, perhaps when the body dies, perhaps that swirling energy maintains its separation, apparent separation, but it's never separate from the whole of the ocean. It's just a swirling ball of energy. And that swirling ball of energy might well come back, and it might well work through some of the identifications that it's experiencing through human forms. It may well continue to work through the seeing of itself. There's no rules in any of this. We're just making stories about what might be happening, but it feels like reincarnation is part of this whole thing. In fact, this body is reincarnating, bodying all of the time. The cells are always reincarnating. and the experience and memories that are in this biology do what they do as well. So yes, I do think there's a type of reincarnation. It's just very different to the simplistic separate self concept for reincarnation. I think it's this intelligent energy playing and integrating and redistributing itself perhaps in other forms of biology. Yes, I think it's possible, but I don't know how. And it does, and so that it sort of ties in with the, there's past life memories and ideas. It's just when that new biology identifies with that, suffering happens again. If it can just say, yes, I'm part of the whole, and these experiences are being accessed as well, and they are being learnt from and interacted with and all of these things, it's a beautiful flow and interplay of all that is. And that's part of my concept of reincarnation.
And they say the when you become enlightened, you no longer reincarnate.
When you what?
Someone become enlightened, then the reincarnation stops.
Well, everything is already reincarnated, is already enlightened, rather. It's just the idea of that separation may not happen anymore, which you could be called enlightened, and that reincarnation can be part of just the interplay and flow of life interacting and flowing in itself. And that reincarnation may come back with memories of all sorts into all different forms, or maybe completely coalesced as an energy that feels separated into a new form. We don't really know, but it's an open thing. And I think there's to assume that I would be able to explain this would be just the limited me. So I hope that helps. But I do actually have to go because I've got to be somewhere in about half an hour.
Okay.
Really lovely to see you. If you happen to be around next Thursday, you're most welcome to come along. You might have a new take on it. You might ask this question another way, and I might be able to explain it a better way as well. But you probably won't have a satisfactory answer to that because it isn't really that finite. It's like, the idea of quantum. This all feels quantum. There's no 1, 2, 3, 4. It's, and reincarnation feels like that in an interplay, not separated. And then this happens. It's all now anyway. So there weren't past lives. It's all this. There isn't past apart from in thought. So thoughts then say, oh, okay, now I understand it, past life. It's always this changeable now. It's always this changeable now. And biology comes and changes and decays and changes and arrives and changes and just keeps changing. New biology appears in the change, and then new biology stops in the change, and then those experiences interplay in all of that. So that's a very, very quantum way to talk about reincarnation. Thank you very much for coming along. I hope that's been of some help. I hope we can see you, have a chat again.
When is the next?
Next Thursday. Next Thursday. I think I sent you the link, but it'll be the same time. It won't be this time because Bernie needed 2 o'clock today. I think it was 6 o'clock last time, which was 12 o'clock your time. I think that's what you said. It was 12 o'clock. So aim for that midday, and I'll see you then.
Okay. Thank you very
See you,
much.
Raj. Go well. Bye.
Bye.